were mine. We played hide and seek for hours.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Lynn. Welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. This week, I have some plans to do a little bit of experimenting in the kitchen. And I want to get a jump start on some Christmas baking. Not so much as saving the Christmas baking, but testing some Christmas baking recipes before the big day. And today I am starting something new. I'm going to try cinnamon rolls. And this is kind of risky because I'm not using my old recipe that I've been using for, oh my goodness, 30 years or more now. I've been making these since I was a teenager. And Aiden especially loves these. And we had a winter blizzard yesterday. I was all here for it. Like, I was so happy to see it. It fell pretty steadily all day into the night. It's such a winter wonderland this morning. Everything is so bright and crisp, and it just puts me in the mood for Christmas. We started decorating a little bit yesterday. We have some more to do, but we got a head start on it and did a very deep cleaning yesterday too before we put the decorations out. So that I always look forward to. And when my kids were little and we had snow days, when schools were canceled, I always made them cinnamon rolls. So that kind of put me in the mood yesterday to make them. And I had picked up Pioneerwoman's Christmas magazine this past weekend. And what do I see in there but a cinnamon roll, or what she calls sweet rolls. I guess this is more of a sweet roll because it's not just cinnamon. So I'll get to that in a second. And it looked good, except for one thing. She calls these chili chocolate sweet rolls. We are not a spicy fan of things, especially in sweets. So I'm going to eliminate two ingredients. Mexican style chocolate, which I don't even know if I could find that around here, and cayenne pepper. I've left those out just because normally when I make a new recipe, I like to follow it exactly, but I know we won't like that, so we're leaving them out. So these are chocolate cinnamon rolls. Grace said they sounded amazing, and I have to say they've been smelling amazing, just the dough. And we're gonna try them, and if we like them, this will be our Christmas morning treat instead of my usual cinnamon rolls. And I'll have to make regular cinnamon rolls probably for New Year's for Aiden, just so he doesn't get too upset. So actually, this recipe started last night. I was exhausted, but I needed to get this going because this needs to be refrigerated overnight. First, I heated up 2 cups of milk, a half cup of oil, and a half a cup of granulated sugar, and I waited till that came to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Once I had reached 110, which I was trying to show you there, but the camera wouldn't focus for me, I sprinkled over 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, and I let that sit for 5 minutes. So once the yeast had bubbled and foamed, I added to it 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour and a half a cup of cocoa powder. I stirred until they were really good and combined. Then you're going to cover that with a clean kitchen towel and set aside in a warm place for an hour. Once the hour was up, I put in the remaining half a cup of flour that's called for totally in the recipe, a 1.5 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. I mixed again till thoroughly combined, and then we're going to cover with plastic wrap, as this is going to go into the refrigerator, because you need to refrigerate this for at least 1 hour, but up to overnight is recommended. So that is what I did. So now I have taken that dough out of the refrigerator, and it's been sitting out for about an hour now, a little bit more maybe, just to warm it up a little bit. Sorry, my phone, I meant to put the ringer off. There we go. It smells amazing. It smells so good. So we are going to roll these out and get them into a pan. So I have my vintage Pyrex. This is a 9 by 13, I think she said. Let me find it here. Yes, 9 by 13, and I've just buttered it all up so they don't stick. My oven is preheated to 375 degrees, and I'm gonna get my apron on, and we are ready to go. Before we roll them out, we're actually gonna make our filling. So to this bowl, I'm going to add 1 stick of salted butter. I'm just gonna whip this up to soften it a bit more. And we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. And in this is 2 tablespoons of the Dutch cocoa powder we used in the dough. And it's also a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm gonna be honest, I added a little more than a teaspoon because I usually do. Get all that cocoa out. We're going to mix this up. Okay, I think that's pretty good and mixed. There we go. We're just gonna set that aside for a minute. Take a little taste test of this. That's pretty good. Okay, now we are ready to roll out this dough. Oh, it's nice. Nice and soft. And we want a 12 by 18 rectangle, and I've got lots of flour. I probably should have put down even more. This is pretty sticky. This dough feels amazing. Okay. I'm just gonna put a little bit more flour down. That's pretty sticky. I'm gonna use my pioneerwoman rolling pin. My mother picked this up for me and I love it. It's become my go-to. The weight of it makes rolling out dough much easier. Okay. So we want, I think it was 12 by 18, so I am going to measure once I get a little bit more even. And we want roughly a rectangle. Look at that dough. Is that not beautiful? Isn't that pretty, Grace? Grace is off to the side here watching me. She's anxious, I think, to try these. She's a chocoholic, but she comes by it naturally because her mother's a chocoholic. I have a measuring tape that I keep. This is just for the kitchen. So that is about 12 there. Oh, just a little bit more. A little bit longer. Not that I have much more room to go, longer. And I just want to make sure we're a little bit more even. Perfect. There we go. So now we're going to put on our filling. Leaving a 1/2 inch border along the sides. You know, I think I might put this in the microwave just a little bit because it is really thick and not spreading as nice as I would like. So I'm just gonna warm, my house is a little bit cool. It's cold here today with all that snow. So we're just gonna warm it up a little bit. Okay. 20 seconds was a little too long, but that's okay. It's much more spreadable now. Much easier. So yeah, I would recommend that definitely being warmer. Room temp today is quite cool. Now we need to add, this is about 2/3 cups of mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. She actually calls for, what was it? Bittersweet, 4 ounces or 2/3 cups of bittersweet chocolate finely chopped. I just don't have that. But I find whenever I need something chopped, I just use mini chocolate chips and then it saves me a step. So, boy, these are gonna be chocolatey. I don't think I'm gonna use all these. I think that's plenty. Yeah, so I didn't use quite all 2/3 cup. Okay, so now, beginning at the long side, we are gonna roll this up. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't use all those chocolate chips. Maybe 4 ounces of chopped up bittersweet would look less, I don't know, but this dough is very soft. And we need to roll it up as tight as we can. I'm trying. Turn it here so I can get a better roll. Alright. And I'm gonna stretch this. And we're gonna pinch the seam together. It doesn't want to stick together because of all that flour. Okay. Then flip it seam side down. Brush off some of the flour. And we are going to use a serrated knife and trim the ends and then cut this into 12 even slices. The ends. Okay, 12 even slices. Well, it's about 18. To transfer the rolls cut side up. I can't even remember. Transfer cut size up. It says you at this point you could freeze them once you get them all in this pan. So I'm thinking 3 across. That one I'm going to cut a little too big. Okay. Cover the baking dish with a clean kitchen towel. Put in a warm place until puffy, about 20 minutes. And then we're going to bake them for 24 to 28 minutes. So I'm going to get a clean towel and we'll let these rise for 20 minutes and then I'm going to clean up my mess. So before I cover them, I've decided to separate these a little bit to give a little room for rising. They're already starting to. I normally bake my cinnamon rolls in a muffin tin, so this is different for me. So I am worried I cut a couple of them a little too big, but it's too late now, so okay, I'm gonna cover them. So while those are rising, I told you last week that when the pumpkin was done freeze drying, I would share it all with you. So I'm gonna keep my promise. So I really wish I had measured how much those pumpkins weighed. We're going to take an estimate that it was 15 pounds roughly, because they were all around 3 pounds. Maybe a couple of them might have been a little bit bigger than that, but we're going to go with 15 pounds. So 15 pounds of pumpkin that I froze first, which I highly recommend freezing everything first that you can for the most part before you freeze dry, because it's going to get to the freezing section much faster than it normally would. Like within an hour and 20 minutes, it had already started freeze drying. So that's definitely a tip. It took a long time. It went through the full cycle and then I did an extra 12 hours of dry time. I always do extra dry time. Maybe I do a little more than I need to, but I don't want to have to worry about it. And it came out and then we got it all into jars. So 15 pounds of pumpkin are in this big mason jar. It's pretty amazing to think that's roughly 15 pounds of pumpkin. Sorry, there goes my washing machine. It's always laundry day around here. No matter what day I film, somebody's gonna be doing laundry. So yeah, 15 pounds of freeze-dried pumpkin. That is amazing. I can't wait to try some recipes with this and see how it works. Yeah, so I promised I'd show it to you, and here it is. If there ever was a time I wish smell-o-vision was a thing, it's right now. These just came out of the oven and the whole kitchen smells amazing. I so wish you could smell these. You're gonna have to make them for yourself so you can smell them. Well, hold off. Let's test them first and taste them and see if they're good. But as I said, they just came out. Piping hot. I'm gonna let these cool and we are gonna try one without the glaze first. Again, I like to make a recipe the exact way it calls for when I'm first making it, but it's a lot more chocolate that goes on top of this. And as much as I'm a chocoholic, and as much as basically the rest of the family is chocoholic, Aiden's the only one who's probably not as crazy. He likes chocolate, but maybe he just doesn't love it like the rest of us do. I just think it's gonna be way, way too much, especially in the mornings on Christmas. So we're gonna let these cool, and we are gonna test one without the glaze and see if it's plenty enough. I will link the recipe. I think this is on her website, so if I can, I will link the recipe down below. So if we end up not making the glaze and you want to, you can see how that's made. But oh boy, it's gonna be a long 20-30 minutes waiting for these to cool. I also wanna say I baked mine at 375 for 20 minutes, and then I lowered it to 350 for like the last 7 minutes, and they're cooked. I could tell they were getting a little too close to being overcooked, but some still weren't cooked enough, so I lowered the temperature. That's one tricky thing with chocolate treats, desserts, recipes too. It's always hard to tell when they're done, but I do think these are done, and it's gonna be a long half hour waiting for these. Ready to try. I'm gonna try here on camera, and I have Aiden behind you. You can't see him, that he's gonna try one at the same time. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. They're not sweet.
No.
They need the glaze. I'm shocked. But you know, there's not a lot of sugar in the dough. There really wasn't a lot in the filling, and it is cocoa. I'm gonna whip up the glaze. Well, we might as well do that together too. I have 2 tablespoons of salted butter that's melted, 1 cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to add 2 or 3 tablespoons of milk. I remembered I have some whipping cream left over from a recipe last week. That probably would have been really good in this too. 3 tablespoons of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla. I guess I could have added all those chocolate chips, but it just looked like it was going to be so incredibly sweet and rich. But okay, and then a 1/4 cup of cocoa. We're gonna mix this up and obviously add a little more milk if we need to. That is the perfect consistency. I'm gonna leave it. I should have sifted the powdered sugar because there was a few lumps. But now I am just going to, she says just to pour it over. So I'm glad I have these on parchment. We'll get these a little closer together. Okay. Going to give them a minute to set up, and we will taste them again. Okay, taste test number 2. Got a little bit of the glaze on them. There, I have to say they're prettier with the glaze. Ready, Aiden? Go. Oh my goodness. What a difference the glaze makes. Sorry. Very rude to be talking with my mouth full. Those are amazing. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan.
You like Mama's old cinnamon rolls, don't
Yeah.
ya? I told you he probably wouldn't like them as much. Grace is eating lunch. I will let you know what she thinks. And David comes home, I'll let you know somewhere here. I'll put it up real quick. So I think they're good. Do I think they'll be replacing Christmas morning?
Yeah.
No. But it was fun to try them. They're good. I'll make them again. I think Grace is gonna like these. I really do, but I told you, he likes the old ones. Thanks For joining me here, friends, today while we did some experimenting in the kitchen. My plan is to try several new recipes over the next couple of weeks to see if I'm going to add them to my Christmas baking schedule that we'll be starting with sooner than later. And can I just say, it is snowing here again. She is coming down. Let's see if I can open the door. It's pretty cool. Pretty darn good out there again. This is so nostalgic for me because my birthday is Friday, and when I was little, most of my birthdays were spent sliding and playing outside in the snow because we always had so much snow by my birthday, the 14th of November. So it makes me feel a little, little nostalgic that we're having so much snow, and we're calling for more tomorrow too. So hopefully we don't have any snow on Thursday, because Grace finally gets her braces off after over 3 years of wearing them. This is it. Aiden got his off a few months ago. Grace is done, and we have no more kids in braces after this week, so we're all pretty happy. Thanks for following along with me. Please give this video a thumbs up to help me with that algorithm, that all-important algorithm with YouTube. And until then, take care, God bless, and we'll see y'all soon.